Welcome to Live with Greg, or Live with Greg, depending on semantics.
All right. Here with one of the most creative people I know, Dr. Peter Nevins.
After many years, in fact, well, it's thanks for doing this. It's great to be back in Mill Valley and seeing the things happening.
Things are happening.
Yeah. What was your first one of these? Was there a moment when you started and realized I want to?
Yes. It's with Chris Furby.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being interviewed by a gentleman who's a doctor that's another story. But they both had this moment where they spaced out and they were just sort of both looking, the camera's running. And I thought, oh my God, wouldn't it be funny if you guys, if you asked a question to the doctor and you guys just both sat there and they thought it was funny, but the doctor decided he didn't want to do that.
So they edited?
No, so then Chris and I are leaving. I said, Ferb, do you want to do it? We'll do it. So we stopped at a mutual friend of ours in San Anselmo. She has a pet store. And we went into the back area and I asked him a question. And then we just sat there silently for as long as we could. And I think it went about 6.5 or 7 minutes.
Oh, incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was my first episode.
A real barn burner.
Well, it was kind of funny. All these people put their own sort of thing to it. Oh, you're doing this, Dada-esque and all this stuff. And
a silent interview?
Yeah, it was I thought, that's amazing that you could put something out there. And I guess that my hypothesis was the sparsity of it allowed people to just circumvent their own thing into what it was and what it was about.
Yeah, the joy is in the eye of the ear of the beholder, or that's why I like the woodcut art, because there's always a point where you have to let go, and it's an interpretation of the reality. The limitations make that you have to kind of read the tea leaves of what the image is sometimes, and that thrill of when something happens for you in your brain when you're looking at it is what I'm trying to deliver, rather than saying, here it is completely realized, it's all done for you. There's space, and you can see evidence of the process, and that's what I think is exciting about the live, unedited aspect of just going through, spanning time together.
With interesting topics.
Yeah, we're spanning time.
It's true. We are spanning time. I do have a question for you. Because there's at least 2 times I'm aware of where what you did what I would call walkabout, you headed out, not quite clear of a destination. Or I was wondering, did you ever, in these times of journeying, have a sense that you were in danger?
Well, I did this hitchhiking trip across but I did have kind of a goal. I was going to go to Quebec because Barry Toronto and Eva Shoshone had been there and described it to me, and I thought, that's a place you can actually get to on land by cars. You don't have to go to Europe. I always thought someday I'd get to Europe, and in my 20s, that was the only way, the closest I could. So hitchhiking out there, was great. The people of America were everywhere you go. They were really nice people who would offer to put me up for the night, and there was this one guy pulled over. He had a special rig because he was paraplegic, a Vietnam vet, and he could drive brake and gas with his arms and steer, and it was a huge ride, 1,000 miles or something.
Wow.
So I was doing it. It was he had some. He was like a pretty fierce guy. I felt like he could be kind of explosive a little bit. We camped. We pulled over and in North Dakota somewhere for the night after we'd been driving for 500 miles or something, and I woke up with my net that was over my face. It was totally black, but it was daytime. What? They were covered. It was covered with mosquitoes. My mosquito net was black with mosquitoes.
Wow.
And at the same time, the guy who was sleeping in the car, actually in the driver's seat, was like, "We're getting out of here! Get in!" And he had kept the van door open all night because it was so hot. So we got back in and we're driving. Got on the freeway. The windshield was black with mosquitoes. You couldn't see out of it, and so he's like, I'm swatting the mosquitoes, and
on the inside it was black.
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
Yeah. And the wind is sucking them off the windshield, and he says, "I'm from Minnesota. I know how we deal with these things. We're gonna go get some Raid to spray in the car." And I kept telling him I wasn't gonna do that, and it was a convenient out because all that night before he'd been saying, "Yeah, you're gonna come out to the cabin and play some music for us. You're gonna come stay on at the cabin for a while."
All right, that's a good sense of danger, a little foreboding.
Yeah, it was. I do feel like it would have been all right, but after weeks of having my soul just drained or scrutinized, or I feel like it would have been a really hard thing to go through. Would have been, once I got out there, I feel like it would have been really hard to.
You would have been a bit of a prisoner, whether conscious
Maybe.
on their part or not. Like, it
Yeah,
sounds like
I
it
do.
was-
Right, I still thank this guy for the ride,
Yeah.
and the story is incredible. So we got. He made me get a can of Raid at the 7-Eleven, and I gave it to him and
He went to town.
signed off.
Oh, so you said, I bid you a fond adieu.
Yeah.
I'm here in
Cuthbert, North Dakota. Or something.
Cuthbert, North Dakota. No. I wish you well. Bon voyage, but
Yeah,
your Raid van is...
I'm trying to think of more dangerous times. I almost hopped on a train that was moving very slow through Glacier National Park, and apparently there's a 10-mile tunnel that fills up with so much smoke and stuff that it can be fatal. And I didn't really know about that. I heard afterwards
Wow.
that it could be fatal. But apparently that's why hobos always have the handkerchief to keep
The soot.
Yeah, if you're on top of a train when you go into a tunnel, it's apparently one of the most dangerous things you can
Oh, wow.
do. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, knock on wood, but there's probably something I'm forgetting, but
I'm not asking you to have a dangerous... I was just wondering if... What I'm hearing, actually. Like, do you think you could hitchhike now to Quebec?
well, I mean, obviously the COVID complicates it, but so I did that in the early 90s, and everyone was saying, "Wow, I haven't seen anyone hitchhiking since 1978. I didn't know people were, wow." So I feel like it's probably always going to be like that. Like, wow, I didn't know people were still and even back then, it was all stories of murders and creepy things happening all the time. And we thought, oh, those carefree days of the 60s are long gone in the 90s. So it's probably, since we just had Nixon in office again, it's probably like closer to the 70s than it's now more than ever.
Yeah, maybe America's actually more together now than, but the media and the train of thought is, you know, like,
I'm always optimistic. You know, I'm always like envisioning where it's going if we're not there yet.
well, if we are there, do you think the going stops?
Oh, right. There's no point when it's done. I mean, there's all these irritants that keep us moving forward. Yeah, I think things are, as much as I hate the politics of incrementalism, I do think, I have no idea. You know, it's evil moves around and just takes different forms. So it's like there's 1,000 evil pieces on the board and there's 1,000 good pieces on the board, and they're just getting these different combinations.
Yeah, they turn into like these teardrops that are interconnected with these little dots right in the middle.
Just whirling.
Do you think evil is infinite?
Yeah, I think it is, and it's
Really?
and amalgamated with. I mean, I think it. I mean, everything that's not good is evil. So I mean, we just need it there as a relativity, as a relative marker. When does it?
Okay, that just reminded, like I had this thought about the devil because I was thinking of these like moonlight hikes and hikes where there's usually large groups of people. There's the sweepers who have the responsibility of making sure everyone makes it to the end of the hike, you know, so they have to be the last ones and they sweep. I was thinking that's the devil. Like the devil's always going to be the very last in line with this evolutionary process of enlightenment. So in a way, you know, like if we ever get off course, there's always one worse. Like that's like, nope, it's that way.
There's a song, an incredible string band song where the line is, "He'll do what's wrong as long as he can," and the chorus goes, "He'll do what's wrong as long as he can. He's the old original Buffalo Man."
Wow. Giving Buffalo Man a bad name.
Yeah, right. The Buffalo are just doing their thing. And they could just destroy you if you get out of the car in Yellowstone or whatever, but they're not evil. I don't know where I'm going with that. Maybe it's like, who are we to say? I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. Maybe everybody has to judge what's... Oh, boy.
And perspective plays a huge part in it, you know? And there's that element of the more you know of one story, the more you see, like, there's not just a monster. Like, there's a story there that created this being that is before us.
And it can be so far progressed from its origins that you can't recognize it, and it just looks like evil.
Right, right. You know, like in the the Catholic Christian tome of the devil, it was God's favorite angel. Like, so there's this being who was ultimately really good until he thought he could be God.
One of my favorite songwriters now is my friend Taylor Kingman up in Portland, and I was trying to figure out my relationship stuff and like comparing ideas, and he was like, dude, comparison is the devil.
Yeah.
The devil was comparing himself to, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
He really summed it up. Yeah. That's a great songwriter. Great new voice. Taylor Kingman.
Taylor Kingman, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Check him out.
Yeah, I'm going to go do a video for him when I get back to Portland.
What do you use to video?
My DSLR shoots pretty good.
That's what you use?
Yeah.
And do you edit?
Yeah.
What are you using for editing? Premiere?
Actually, I'm not really trying to do much that's very fancy. So, I mean, I'm trying to rely on all the footage and pretending it's 1973, and I basically have that, like, those capabilities. So, I'm just using iMovie.
No.
It's just, I've never been not able to do something that I wanted to do with it. I've done some pretty complex editing by 1986 standards. You can overlay, and you can, and I'll use some
Can you have
tricky.
layers?
I'll use some tricky masking. I actually have some apps in my phone that are better for masking. So I sometimes export to my phone and work on it in there. I just shot a video in Iceland and then edited it while I was like traveling around Ireland.
It is crazy that what can happen artistically with apps on a phone.
Yeah, just the 1080
Yeah.
as opposed to the 4K, which it does actually shoot, but
Yeah.
data prohibitive.
Yes, yes.
I am not really a doctor, by the way.
No, he really is.
Honorary.
Don't let him fool you. If he prescribes something, take it.
More music, more music, more music. Marianne with the shaky
That's
hand.
it. Yes, yes. What she does with those shaky hands. What was the bean commercial in that?
What's for tea, Mum? What's for tea, Mum? Beans. Heinz baked beans. It's Heinz baked beans.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a pretty solid campaign. Those beans mean something different in 60s England than they do
And
in America today. Heinz baked beans could be an important pillar of the dinner time.
so have you consciously chosen a creative life for yourself?
I've been pretty bad at all the other things I'm trying to do. So
Yeah, that medical practice really went to the ground.
yeah, it's just
Well, you kept giving away your services.
and it's such a big responsibility, you know. And who am I to say if your liver is really ready to be changed out? I mean, yeah, I just go on intuition, you know. I only go so far. I'll try to answer though. There's just stuff that I want to see that no one is doing. So I feel it's my job to do it. So I see a lane for myself, sort of between everything everybody else is doing. Sort of see a path right through Buddy Holly and Gustave Doré or something.
Right, that narrow little slice between those two.
Yeah.
Is that your creative drive, or a big part of it is, I want to see this and it doesn't exist?
That's it, really. There's still this like ultimate psychedelic record that I'm always looking for that's like, a lot of things come really close, but yep, that's really the kernel of the nugget of the...
Well, so when you do your the prints from, what do you call those, wood blocks?
Mm-hmm. Woodblock prints.
Woodblock prints. That's very descriptive.
Yeah.
But is that part of that is in process of, there is a vision that I want to put out into the world that isn't there yet. It's not there, but I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, or maybe this voice I have needs to be spoken today, and it's related to things that happen. I mean, maybe I'm animating an art spirit that's been around for a long time, but this is how it reacts to today's world. I'm trying to do things that are real timeless, so they'll... Again, I'm trying to do like the things like, what would I want on my wall that I can't find anywhere else? What would I want to live with? Greg. Live with Greg.
Very hard. Marble.
Isn't it? Yeah.
As Michelangelo said, you take away everything that isn't part of what...
That's the woodcut process too. There's like, the image is there, and you just reveal everything that's not. Yeah, it's really the
take
same
away,
thing.
yeah.
I was painting for a long time, and wanted everything to look like it was printed, basically, and stamped, and like this like old time classic like postage stamp kind of engraving feeling. And I used to outline everything, and some friends here in Marin recommended that I go, Ben Jacobs recommended that I go drop in on a Chester Arnold class, who's this great painter, lives in Sonoma, and that he's a great painter, that I'm sure that he was sure I would learn. And because Chester is a friend of the Jacobs family, somehow I was able to just do it on a drop-in basis. And I'd already just flailed and failed out of 2 colleges, just down in flames before my first year was up. UC Santa Cruz, and then California College of Art was called California College of Arts and Crafts, but these days things need more gravitas. Mm-hmm. Much better to have a restaurant called Spoon than like
utensils on the floor.
Yeah, the fancy guard. Right. So I got to audit this class, and I had a few classes with him and learned his technique. Well, one day he saw me putting lines around everything. He got so frustrated with me. That's not real painting. That's like drawing with paint, sort of. And he just gave me a black canvas, and he said, start with this. So the lines are already there. You just paint everything else. He didn't even say that. He like implied that. He said, you're always putting big dark lines around everything, so start with the black. all black, and it blew my mind. It came so easily to be able to just add light to it, or by implication to remove the black. Then it was a short jump from there to making woodcut prints. That started me on the whole woodcut print journey, and there's not a whole. I mean, I may be skewed by the online examples and how few people there are online doing this. There may be some real offline great masters out there, but the more people that move to digital art and stuff, the fewer of us there are doing this, and it's great. You know, I don't want to say big fish in a small pond or whatever. There's some amazing woodcut printmakers now, and it turns out Chester Arnold's daughter is, I think, the most famous block printer, the most well-known block printer. She has something like 250,000 followers on the Instagrams, and one of the greatest honors of my life, she bought one of my prints.
Wow.
It's a big crazy monster tearing the dome off the Capitol and pulling
Oh, the
a
one-eyed
politician.
monster?
Yeah.
I like that one.
That was meant to be John Boehner, that the monster was. I just felt like everyone was just basically so mad at him that's if public will could be manifested as a big monster, that it would have gone that, just lifted up the dome like a cookie jar and pulled Boehner out. And like, what are you? And then 6 months after I did that, he stepped down. I was just feeling the zeitgeist or something. I don't know. Somebody needs to be carving. Well, gotta go.
Are you happy?
Fairly, yes. Yeah, not really, no. Yes. I can certainly say, except for issues of social justice and the larger world, like things in my little, I could be doing much more to help the rest of humanity, and somehow making these images that people can live with, that maybe inspire them to do more, so I can just sit in my wooden tower and make woodcuts. I can certainly say that things are how I would have them in my little world. I mean, I have incredible freedom. You know, yeah, if I'm not happy, it's totally, I don't have any chip on my shoulder about it. It's everything not right is about what I've done, you know, what the choices I've made and stuff. And so in that respect, I feel really, I have no gripe with the world except for what it does to others. You know, I've been treated very well. Yeah, I think in a real quiet way I am happy. It doesn't always express like, maybe I could express it more, but it doesn't always come busting out in people's faces how happy I am, but yeah, I'd say I am happy, and I mean, and having no complaints is like a different issue, also. But I have no complaints, and I'm happy. There's I'm really hard to be in a relationship with, and I've been really agonizing about that kind of stuff, and it looks like I'm not in a relationship as of today. So
fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all my own wants and stuff. My own sort of trying to see what my future, my 20-year plan or whatever. I mean, it's such a mix between wanting to get it while you can, make the live like there's no tomorrow, and then tomorrow seems to keep coming.
Are you the grasshopper or are you the ant?
Well, both. I live really close to the bone. I don't have a lot put away, but I've gotten better and better at making money. And I've been planting so many seeds, my little prints that go out in the world, and that it's gotten easier and easier to feel like I've taken care of business, or my retirement plan is just to be able to not retire, to work as long as to just make the work that I love, like actually what I love to do is actually the thing that makes the most money as well. It all kind of goes together. So that's a great question. That are you the ant or the grasshopper? I'm sort of like the grasshopper, but I've been doing it so long that I have lots of little stashes everywhere.
When I was growing up, that story was presented to me as the grasshopper was bad, made a mistake. But in reality, he ends up being invited into the home of the ants and playing the music during the whole winter, and he's taken care of. So the ant was kind of frowning on him, that one ant, but in the universal picture of that story,
they're both essential.
Right. And the grasshopper had a place, I think, of merriment during the summer and the winter. That was a worthy, energetic undertaking that served the whole.
Everyone's doing their work, and if you feel stressed out, like you need to be doing this certain taking care of business, then maybe that's what needs to be happening. Not just I don't know. I lost that thread.
Do you still think evil's infinite?
It seems like it just moves around. Like fear too. It just changes shape.
Okay, what is fear?
It's too scary to talk about.
So fear is that which cannot be talked about.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And it can really exist for good reasons, you know, like you could really be on the edge of a cliff or something and be, afraid. So I never judge it, I guess.
Do you know, I forget the gentleman's name, really famous climber, rock climber, and he just did the free hand, what's his name? You know,
Spider-Man. Peter Parker.
No. You can't say fuck on radio.
Can't say give away people.
No.
Never mind.
Yeah, right.
These aren't the droids you're looking.
Anyway, he said people don't have a fear of heights. They're afraid of falling is what's really happening. Because you go up in an elevator, you're up 20 stories, you're not afraid. It's not the height. It's that if you're in a place where you get a sense of you could fall, that's what the real fear is. But wouldn't it be amazing to just, like, who cares? You're at the edge of a cliff, like, so you fall. You know, like, that's the end of that story, but you just know the story goes on. Like, the story isn't solely hinged on your body.
Yeah, I suppose one wants to, like, make the most of, since all these atoms, like, have been organized this way, you know, it's not the ultimate tragedy if it is all cast to the wind, but it is cool that all these atoms came together to make this form. And so while it's happening, it'd be cool if it, like, got to progress through all its changes, that it could, you know, to fully live its cycle.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's just really inconvenient, you know, or like took all this time to put these atoms together and then to, right?
Yeah, and all the atoms that help sustain this atom glom.
Yeah,
all the atom gloms that help.
All that grass that you ate or smoked or whatever. That just fed your fire.
I think we're feeling a little too much here, Peter. Doctor.
You know, after a long day of eating grass in the field, I just think, well, I've got to put all the weed energy to good use.
Yeah, it's a good thing you got that second stomach, because...
Yeah, that'll give you something to ruminate on. What am I going to do with all this food? How can I justify those nopales chilies and that guacamole? I mean...
Your cud. Chewing your cud.
Yeah.
We're on a conversation tangent now.
4 stomachs are better than 1.
Hey, you going to be down here this December?
I can honestly say I have no idea.
It's beautiful. It's the right answer.
What's happening?
The yearly Christmas caroling.
Oh my gosh. I am so grateful to the carolers of Mill Valley, especially when it comes down to just 2 who are still keeping the tradition alive. I'm so... That's really one of my favorite things. I actually, in our tradition, I brought it to Brooklyn.
Oh, right on.
Half a dozen people walking in Bushwick
Wow.
in the Dominican neighborhood. Super fun. Nobody invited us in for brandy and shortbread or something like they might do here, but nobody
Really?
does that.
Did they come to the door and listen?
Well, now that I think of it, we were actually doing it on the street in kind of, in sort of, we didn't really go to apartment buildings. It was just all apartments, big apartment buildings. And I think we might have stood at the bottom of some staircases and seen what would happen, and had people come to their windows and stuff. When we saw an open window, we would do it. I did find a little crew to do it, and I did it in Astoria as well, in Astoria, Oregon, and hit the home run of they just finished making cinnamon rolls in one house.
That's a home run.
Yeah, when you're caroling and the smell of hot cinnamon rolls comes out. So I would love to be here for the caroling. It's not about the cinnamon rolls at all, but it's the complete. It's like a call and response. That's like the proper response from the humanity. Yeah.
A couple years ago, we ran into another group of carolers.
Whoa!
And that was pretty awesome.
Did you?
We did join for one house. Yeah, we went to war with each other, and not really, but there was some joking about that. But then at one house, we all came together and sang a couple carols, and then we went off in our separate directions.
I know it's really important for you guys to sing one of the most famous carols in a way. Sounds like a little kid is singing it, like Frosty the Snowman was a very happy soul. And I know that if you have to do that one, which is kind of one of the only modern additions to the canon, that could create some real rancor with a rival group that doesn't understand it's actually spelled F-W-O-S-T-Y. Yeah. Frosty. It's Frosty. It's Frosty.
Yeah. There were the traditionalists and the what would you call them? The futurists battling it out,
Yeah.
But we also have in our canon the trump card, the secret weapon, Neil's Solstice Carol.
A holy host streaks through the sky, dispelling darkness as they fly.
Yeah, that's the one. You who dare the winter's path, wrath, heed the course, follow signs, and follow the path. Forever. Yeah, that's the one.
I kept getting distracted on the I kept wanting to branch off, but it doesn't. It's a real melody, Mr. Singer of that song. Yeah, there's some new Christmas carols.
Yeah.
Also,
I've come to like Paul McCartney's Christmas Carol. It took me some years, but now.
Well, I think the real trouble that I ran into was just making too big a deal of it. It wasn't, it's like you had all your life to make a Christmas carol, and it was simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Yeah.
I think it'd be super fun if you had a ukulele and it was Christmas time and we just sang that.
Maybe that's what it is. It's like the whole Paul McCartney Christmas Carol, two greats. It's like, oh, it's a Christmas Carol. Okay, it's fun. It's joyful.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to talk about?
Joy.
Real joy. American joy. Brought to you by Nabisco. That's joy in an oven, kids. Tell your mama to get some of that joy at Safeway. Bring it home and feed it to Daddy. Okay, that was just so politically incorrect. We're going to get sued for sure.
Nothing else will save your marriage.
Not even a BJ compares to Nabisco joy, fresh out of the oven. I think the Pope did come out and tell all Catholic wives that a good BJ would save the marriage. In my imagination, that happened.
Yeah.
And we take a left turn. Well, I truly wish you many blessings in this creative journey you're on.
Thanks.
Well,
I hope we have something to share with the world real soon. I'm going to take it home and edit. And
oh, really? So
I
it's
think-
not going to be finished down here?
I don't think there's going to be possibly time. I've stretched my.
Well, you had 10 days 2 days ago.
Yeah. I just told someone else I'll be back in 10 days. Yeah. So.
Every day it's 10 days.
Yeah.
If anyone asks, 10 days. It's not 2 weeks, but it's more than a week.
It's a magic number.
I like it. 10 is the magic number. 10, I'm going to use that. Can I use it for... So when we had it, 10 days. 10 days.
That's what you said 3 days ago. I know.
What day are we on?
I stick to my word.
Yeah. It's like that...
I'm not going to go changing my word now. I said 10 days then. I've said 10 days now.
I'm a man of my word.
Is my bond.
I love that song. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're always a day away.
That's so strange. Meaning I don't love you now, but I think I might in the future. Or
No, I think it's I love you now
oh,
because you're always a day away. It's like the Jewish blessing for, you know, in Fiddler on the Roof, where the student asks the rabbis, is there a blessing for everything? And the rabbi's like, yeah, for everything. He's all, is there a blessing for the czar? The rabbi thinks and goes, blessing for the czar, yes. May God bless and keep the czar far away from us.
When the cat's away, the mice will play
10 days. See you in 10 days.
for 10 days.
So you really think that it won't be finished down here? It'll head up north?
Realistically, not. So, but thanks very much for your enthusiasm on it and your blessing on it.
I'm blessing like your whole life. I mean, not if I could bless anything.
This creative journey that you're on, yeah.
Like
You too, Greg.
the
I
immediate
bless-
one, but
I wish many blessings for you.
thanks. Anything else?